Alina's footsteps echoed softly against the tiled floor as she wandered through the deserted library. The building's usual daytime chatter had long since faded, leaving only the faint hum of fluorescent lights and the rustling of pages. She adored the quiet, how it wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, shutting out the chaos of the world. The late-night hours were her favorite, when the library transformed into a sanctuary for dreamers and insomniacs. Tonight, she needed that peace more than ever. Stress from her final year of college clung to her shoulders like a heavy coat, refusing to be shrugged off. Lost in the maze of towering bookshelves, Alina scanned the spines for something to take her mind off reality. That's when she noticed him. A boy sat alone at a corner table, his face illuminated by the soft glow of a lamp. Dark hair fell carelessly over his forehead, and his eyes moved intently over the pages of a thick, leather-bound book. The way he read, completely absorbed, was mesmerizing. Alina found herself lingering, curiosity piqued. What was he doing here so late, seemingly as captivated by the stillness as she was? The urge to find out drew her steps closer. "Couldn't sleep either?" she asked, her voice breaking the silence with careful gentleness. He glanced up, surprised but not annoyed. Instead, a slow, easy smile spread across his lips. "I guess you could say that. The world's too loud sometimes, isn't it?" His voice was deep, warm, and strangely soothing. Alina nodded, her own smile surfacing. "Exactly. The quiet here feels safe." "I couldn't agree more." He gestured to the seat across from him. "Want to join me? Misery loves company, or so they say." She laughed softly, sliding into the chair. "I'm Alina, by the way." "Ryan," he replied, closing his book but keeping his fingers lightly pressed against the cover, as if reluctant to part from it. "So, what brings you to the library at such a late hour?" "Escaping reality, mostly. Books help with that," Alina admitted, feeling strangely comfortable under his steady gaze. Ryan's smile widened. "Books are the best kind of escape. But you already knew that." Their conversation unfolded effortlessly, winding through favorite authors, storytelling tropes, and dreams they dared not voice to anyone else. Alina found herself laughing more than she had in weeks, her worries forgotten under the glow of Ryan's attention. It was strange, how quickly he made her feel understood. As if he had been waiting there, in that exact spot, just for her. And as the night stretched on, Alina couldn't shake the feeling that her life had just taken a turn she hadn't seen coming. Time seemed to blur as Alina and Ryan sat across from each other, their words flowing like a gentle stream. Alina couldn't help but notice how his eyes lit up whenever he spoke about literature, especially classic romance novels, which he admitted were his guilty pleasure. It was rare to find someone who appreciated stories the way she did, and it made her heart flutter in ways she hadn't expected. "So," Ryan asked, leaning back in his chair, "what's your favorite book of all time?" Alina hesitated, biting her lip. "That's tough. Maybe Pride and Prejudice star. There's just something timeless about it, the tension, the way love slowly builds despite the odds." Ryan grinned, clearly pleased. "A classic choice. I can see why you'd like it. You seem like the kind of person who believes in love overcoming anything." His words made her cheeks warm, and she fought the urge to look away. "Maybe. I guess I just like stories that prove love is worth the struggle." He looked at her thoughtfully, as if considering something important. "You're right. Real love should be worth the effort." His voice grew softer, almost vulnerable. "Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever find something like that, something real." The intensity of his gaze made her pulse quicken. There was something raw and genuine in his expression, as if he wasn't just talking about storybook romance anymore. Alina felt a strange urge to reach out and touch his hand, but she hesitated, unsure if she was reading the moment correctly. Before she could overthink it, Ryan's fingers brushed against hers on the table. The contact was subtle yet electric, sending a jolt through her entire being. She glanced up, and their eyes met, no longer just casual or friendly, but filled with a tension that hung heavy in the air. "I know this might sound crazy," Ryan began, his voice low and hesitant, "but from the moment you walked in, I felt something. Like I've been waiting here just to meet you." Alina's breath caught, her heart pounding wildly. Was he serious? Had he really just said that? She wanted to laugh at the absurdity, but the sincerity in his eyes kept her rooted to the spot. She swallowed, trying to steady herself. I feel it too. I don't know why, but being here with you just feels right. A hint of relief softened his features, and his hand closed over hers, warm and reassuring. Would you like to keep talking somewhere more comfortable? My apartment's just around the corner. I could make us some tea. 1,000 thoughts raced through her mind, but none of them screamed danger, only excitement and curiosity. Nodding slowly, she whispered, I'd like that. As they stood to leave, the weight of unspoken possibilities settled between them, and Alina couldn't help but wonder if fate had truly brought her to the library that night for a reason. The night air was crisp and cool as Alina followed Ryan to his apartment, her pulse quickening with every step. His place was only a short walk from the library, tucked away in a quiet building surrounded by swaying trees. As they climbed the staircase, her nerves danced between excitement and uncertainty. Ryan unlocked the door and pushed it open, revealing a cozy, book-filled sanctuary. Shelves lined the walls, overflowing with novels, journals, and handwritten manuscripts. It was a place where stories came alive, and Alina couldn't help but feel like she had stepped into another world. Wow, she breathed, her eyes scanning the room with admiration. It's beautiful. You really are serious about books. Ryan chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. Yeah, you could say that. It's my escape, and my obsession. They settled onto the plush couch, a steaming mug of tea in each of their hands. The soft glow of a nearby lamp cast golden hues across their faces, creating a warmth that melted the remnants of Alina's hesitation. They continued talking, their conversation weaving between dreams and fears, passion and doubt. Ryan opened up about his writing, confessing how much of himself he poured into the words he crafted. His vulnerability disarmed her, making her feel like she was seeing the truest version of him. I've never shown anyone this before, Ryan admitted, pulling a worn notebook from the table. But I feel like I can trust you. He handed her the journal, and Alina's fingers trembled as she flipped through the pages. His writing was raw, vivid, brimming with emotion. The honesty of his words resonated with her, striking chords she hadn't realized were there. Ryan, this is incredible, she whispered, her eyes misting over. You have such a gift. His gaze softened, a hint of something deeper lurking beneath. Hearing you say that means more than you know. Their eyes met, and the air between them thickened with a longing neither could deny. Before Alina could overthink it, Ryan leaned forward, his lips brushing against hers in a gentle, unspoken question. She answered by closing the distance, her heartbeat thundering in her chest. The kiss was tender, slow, yet filled with a passion that left her breathless. Everything about it felt right, as if this moment had been written in the stars long before they had ever crossed paths. When they pulled apart, Ryan's hand remained on hers, his thumb tracing soothing circles over her skin. I know we just met, but I can't help how I feel. Being around you feels like finding the perfect line in a book I thought I'd never read. Alina's chest swelled with emotion. I feel the same way. Like maybe, just maybe, we were meant to find each other. Ryan's smile was pure, unguarded. Then let's not waste this chance. As the night deepened, the connection between them only grew stronger, and Alina couldn't help but feel like her life had just turned a beautiful page. Sunlight filtered through the curtains, painting the room in soft, golden hues. Alina stirred awake, her head resting against Ryan's shoulder, their fingers still entwined. The warmth of his presence was comforting, as if she had found something she hadn't even realized she was searching for. Morning, Ryan murmured, his voice thick with sleep but layered with tenderness. Morning, she replied, her smile mirroring his. Despite the uncertainty of their future, the moment felt real. Powerful. They spent the next hour tangled in conversation, laughter, and unfiltered honesty. For the first time in a long while, Alina didn't feel the crushing weight of expectations or the fear of judgment. With Ryan, she was simply herself. It's crazy, isn't it? She said softly, her gaze drifting to the crowded bookshelves that seemed to watch over them. We just met last night, but it feels like I've known you forever. Maybe you have, Ryan said with a playful smirk before his expression turned sincere. Or maybe, when two people are meant to find each other, time doesn't matter. His words sent a shiver through her. Something about the way he spoke made her believe in possibilities she'd long dismissed as fantasies. What happens now? She asked, her voice betraying the vulnerability she couldn't hide. That depends, Ryan said, his fingers tracing gentle patterns along her hand. I want to see you again. And again. As many times as you'll let me. The confession sparked a thrill within her. I'd like that. They exchanged numbers, solidifying their connection with promises of future plans and shared moments. But there was a gravity in Ryan's eyes that made her feel he meant every word. Before you go, he said, his tone suddenly serious, I want you to have this. He handed her the worn journal, the one he'd let her read the night before. Alina's eyes widened, her fingers brushing over the faded cover. Ryan, I can't take this. It's your work. Your passion. And you're the first person I've ever trusted enough to share it with, he replied gently. I want you to hold on to it. Maybe, it'll inspire you to start writing your own story. The depth of his gesture left her speechless. No one had ever believed in her like this before. No one had ever made her feel so seen. Thank you, she whispered, her voice cracking. I won't let you down. Ryan's smile was reassuring, filled with hope and something deeper she dared not name. You couldn't, even if you tried. As she left his apartment, the journal clutched tightly in her hands, Alina felt as if her world had shifted. What had begun as a simple trip to the library had transformed into something extraordinary. A chance meeting. An unexpected connection. And the beginning of a story she was eager to write.